All 22 teams play in Matchday 4 on the Saturday. And let's predict all the 11 games, starting with Aveley vs Chatham. Well, Aveley's last two games was a 1-0 win against Welling, which I think has now been given to them with a goal from Ollie Peters, and then a 3-3 draw against Burgess Hill, both games having a penalty in them. Yeah, even this game had a penalty, so they've had a penalty every game this season. Whereas Chatham, their last two games, they beat Ramsgate 4-2, and then they beat Cheshunt 1-0. Aveley sit in 10th place with 5 points, whilst Chatham sit in 3rd with 7. Head to head, there are no matches. My prediction for this game is Aveley 1, Chatham 2. Billericay vs Cray Wanderers. Billericay's last two games was a 1-1 draw away from home against Dartford, and then a 1-0 loss against Carshalton. EK or Orgy won't be playing against Cray Wanderers. Cray Wanderers' last two games was a 1-1 draw against Folkestone, and then a 3-2 win against Wingate and Finchley. Billericay sit in 15th place with 4 points, whilst Cray Wanderers sit in a surprising 2nd place with 7. Head to head, they played each other twice last season. The first game was a 1-1 draw at Cray. The second was a 2-0 win for Cray at Billericay. My prediction for this game is Billericay 1, Cray Wanderers 1. The next game, two newly promoted sides, Brentwood Town play Burgess Hill. Brentwood Town last home game was a 3-2 win against St Albans. Their last away game was a 4-3 win against Potters Bar. Burgess Hill's last away game, well, they've had all 3 away games, so they've not even had a home game this season. The last two games was a 2-1 win against Cray Valley and a 3-3 draw against Aveley. Brentwood sit in 4th, Burgess Hill sit in 5th, both on 7 points. It doesn't show last season's games. It only shows from 2016, so we don't have any head-to-heads to look at. My prediction for this game is Brentwood 3, Burgess Hill 3. Cheshunt host Hashtag in Matchday 4, and Cheshunt's last two games was a 4-1 win against Canvey Island and a 1-0 loss to Chatham. Hashtag's last two games was a 0-0 draw to Potters Bar and a 2-1 loss to Chichester. Cheshunt dropped down to 6th place from 1st after last game. After their loss, they're on 6 points. Hashtag are in 13th with 4. Their two games against each other last season. Hashtag won 4-3 away from home and 1-0 at home. My prediction for this game, Cheshunt 3, Hashtag 0. Chichester faced Welling, and Chichester's last two games was a 0-0 draw away from home against Whitehawk and a 2-1 win away from home against Hashtag. Welling's last two games was a 1-0 loss at home against Aveley and a 1-0 loss at home against Lewis. Chichester sit in 11th place with 5 points, whilst Welling sit in the relegation zone in 21st with 0. The last two games, well, actually there isn't any games to look at for head-to-head. My prediction for this game, Chichester 1, Welling 0. Cray Valley play Ramsgate in the Matchday 4. Cray Valley's last two games was a 2-1 loss to Burgess Hill at home and a 3-2 loss away from home against Whitehawk. Ramsgate's last two games was a 4-2 loss away from home against Chatham and a 2-0 loss at home against Dulwich Hamlet. Ramsgate sit in 16th place with 3 points, whilst Cray Valley are 20th with 0. There's probably no head-to-head. There's one head-to-head from the FA Trophy qualification rounds but Cray Valley beat them 3-1 last season. My prediction for this game, Cray Valley 2, Ramsgate 3. Now Dartford host Carshalton, and on the topic of Dartford, later tonight the Dartford St Albans Matchday vlog will come out, because I've just not had the time or been bothered to try and get it done, because it was a horrible result and I've been in Ireland. But anyway, Dartford's last 2 games was a 1-1 draw with Billericay at home, a 2-0 loss against St Albans. We won't have Michael in the team. I don't think we'll have Ben Frimper, but we might. I'm not sure on the red card rule. Carshalton's last 2 games, a 2-1 loss away from home against Lewis, and a 1-0 win against Billericay. All 3 games have had a red card for the opposition. I'm not happy about that, because Dartford will probably get a red card. Carshalton sit in 7th place with 6 points, whilst Dartford sit in 18th with 1. And last season, away from home, Dartford beat Carshalton 1-0. At home, Dartford lost 4-1 on the last game of the season. My prediction for this game, I'm going to go with hope, and I'm saying Dartford 2, Carshalton 0. Dulwich Hamlet play Canvey Island. Dulwich last 2 games were a 1-0 win against Wingate and Finchley, and a 2-0 win against Ramsgate. Canvey Island, 4-1 loss against Cheshunt, and a 2-0 loss against Folkestone. Dulwich sit at the top of the table with 9 points, whilst Canvey sit at the bottom with 0. Last season, the first game between these two was a 3-2 win for Dulwich Hamlet, and the second a 2-1 win for Dulwich Hamlet with a red card. And of course a Luke Quinaggio penalty once again. I'm predicting 4-0 to Dulwich for this game. Folkestone are playing St Albans at home in their last 2 games with a 1-1 draw with Grey Wanderers and a 2-0 win against Canvey Island. St Albans lost 3-2 to Brentwood Town and beat Dartford 2-0. Folkestone sit in 9th place with 5 points, St Albans 12th with 4. I'm going to quickly check. Yep, there's none. My prediction for this game, Folkestone 1, St Albans 0. Lewis against Potters Bar. Lewis's last 2 games was a 2-1 win against Carshalton and a 1-0 win against Welling. Potters Bar's last 2 games, a 0-0 draw against Hashtag and a 4-3 loss against Brentwood. Lewis in 8th place with 6 points, 17th for Potters Bar with 1. Last season, Potters Bar smashed Lewis 5-0 and then beat them 3-2. My prediction for this game is Lewis 2, Potters Bar 0. After the final game, Wingate and Finchley host Whitehawk. Wingate's last 2 games was a 1-0 loss to Dulwich Hamlet and a 3-2 loss to Grey Wanderers. Whitehawk's last 2 games was a 0-0 draw with Chichester and a 3-2 win against Cray Valley. Wingate sit in 19th place with 0 points, whilst Whitehawk are in 14th with 4. Last season, Wingate beat Whitehawk 2-0 away from home and then 3-1 at home. Sadly, I'm going to give this win to Whitehawk 3-1. I don't like Whitehawk, but I don't see Wingate getting this win. So, in my predictions, I believe Dulwich will top the table at the end of Matchday 4. And all of Wingate, Cray, Welling and Canvey Island will still be in the relegation zone at the end of Matchday 4. We'll find out if I'm right later today.